Hey there, thanks for tuning into DuckBricks. I'm Chris, and for this video, we are traveling back in time. Maybe not 65 million years, but 24 years ago, to the year 2000, taking a look at every single LEGO dinosaur mold ever made, from 2000 all the way up to 2024 today. Now, LEGO dinosaurs have been incredibly prevalent throughout the many years of LEGO's history, and because of that, I have to set some guidelines. For this video, I am only covering dinosaurs that either are fully unique molds, molded elements, or have at least one unique molded piece to them. And well, the reason for that is because there are so many that I feel like if you're interested, maybe there could be a part 2 of this video which features just fully brick-built dinosaurs. Stuff like the LEGO Dimensions Raptor, or the Venomosaurus Rex, or the LEGO Creator dinosaurs, or even stuff like the Jurassic World fully large-scale buildable T-Rexes, of which we've gotten a couple, or the Dinosaur Skeletons LEGO Idea Set. No, instead, for this video, we're just going to be focusing on dinosaurs that had at least one unique, dedicated, dinosaur-specific mold introduced in them. That could be as specialized as the recent Stegosaurus or the Dino Attack dinosaurs, or something that is fully brick-built all the way up to the head, like the previous Jurassic World Skeleton T-Rex set. However, that being said, even with this restriction, there's a lot to get into. So join us as we take a step back in time and explore the many years of LEGO dinosaurs. Okay, so this is the complete LEGO Prehistoric Animal Collection that they have released from the very early days of LEGO Adventures all the way in the early 2000s, all the way up to the latest Jurassic Park and Jurassic World licensed dinosaurs. This has them all. It spans multiple years and multiple themes, from Adventures, the Dino theme, to Dino Attack, to Dino 2012, to Jurassic Park and Jurassic World, and even a little bit of LEGO Alpha Team thrown in as well for good measure, and we just have a ton of variety here. I cannot wait to get into all the different types of dinosaurs. One thing that's really cool to me is that, yes, obviously there are a ton of different T-Rexes, a bazillion different raptors, but there also are a lot of variety in terms of the different types of dinosaurs that we get. We have all sorts of Triceratops variants, we have Stegosaurus, we've got even a Mosasaurus in the center, and I'm really hoping LEGO will do one in the modern style, but altogether there's just a lot of variety when it comes to these prehistoric LEGO animals. Obviously, one thing I do want to mention is that yes, these are not technically in the scientific sense all dinosaurs. We are, after all, featuring pterodactyls and pteranodons, as well as a host of other creatures that don't technically fit into the scientific classification of dinosaur. But for ease of this video, obviously you know what I mean when I say dinosaur. Basically, this is just an overview of all of the prehistoric animals created by LEGO. Now for this video, I'll be kind of going based on the different categories, so we'll be taking a look at all the different T-Rexes, all the raptors, all the baby dinosaurs, so on and so forth, but also paying a close attention to the time frame here and really showcasing the evolution of LEGO animals. So to that end, we're going to be classifying each of these different animals based on the time period they came in. The very early dinosaurs from Dino and LEGO Adventures all the way in the early 2000s, like the first T-Rex, the first pterodactyl there, and even the first Triceratops over here, so we'll be taking a look at those ones first, and then we'll be moving forwards in history as we take a look at how the LEGO dinosaur building system has evolved, and maybe get some sneak peeks and hints as to what types of animals we might be seeing in the future. Let's go right now. To start with LEGO dinosaurs, we have to go all the way back to the year 2000. 24 years ago was our first ever set of LEGO dinosaurs as part of the LEGO Adventurers line, a classic line where the titular adventurer, Johnny Thunder, went on all sorts of explorations, from Egypt to the Orient, and finally to Dino Island, which was his most fantastical adventure yet. In the year 2000, we were introduced to the Tyrannosaurus Rex. This appeared in 3 sets, 2 of which were from Adventures, the T-Rex Transport and the Dino Research Compound, and one was actually in partnership with Steven Spielberg for a movie maker set as part of LEGO Studios. You can see that the early design for these dinosaurs was heavily influenced by the creatures that had come before, using the same arms as the LEGO Dragon, in pretty much the same style of tail as the Lego crocodile except without the spikes, and very much sticking within the same style as other Lego animals of their time, like the classic horse. To go with that line, we also got two different types of Triceratops, one with dark orange legs and one with light gray legs. The one with light gray legs came in the T-Rex Transport, and the one with dark orange legs came in the all-terrain Trapper. This again was trying to utilize as many repeat elements as possible, utilizing the Horde element introduced for the LEGO Wild West Western theme to actually use as the horns, which I think is really clever and also really fun because I have a lot of fond memories playing with these dinosaurs when I was a kid and replacing the horns with all sorts of different wacky elements like the samurai chrome silver horns, because of course this was just a standard clip attachment, so you could stick anything you wanted on it. To go along with the line, we also got two different types of Stegosauruses, a dinosaur we didn't see in LEGO form since until we actually came to the year 2024, so it's literally been full circle at this point. We had again two different versions, one with light gray legs and one with dark orange legs. The dark orange legs came in the set with the Dino Research Compound, the largest set of the wave, and the one with light gray legs came with the all-terrain Trapper. This was utilizing pretty much, again, those same components. The same spiked tail that they used for the Lego Crocodile, also introduced years prior for Pirates, was used here in a different color, which I think works totally well. These dinosaurs were simple, but absolutely fit the style of Lego animal at the time. And I really do like the simple charm to these types of animals, even though, of course, we would get a lot more accurate molded animals that really do fit Lego's modern style of animals as we move into the future. Moving on from that, there were only two other types of animals introduced, the Pteranodon or pterodactyls. They were called as both in the sets, even though of course those are different creatures, that came in three different colors: red for the Dino Explorer, tan for the Research Glider, and dark orange in a number of sets, the Dino Research Compound, the Hydrofoil, which was basically like a polybag, as well as the Island Hopper. Now, these were just one single element, but I do really like how they actually did pay attention to trying to come up with different types of connection points for these creatures. You have the back claws, which actually are clips, which can use to clip onto individual items like lightsaber bars. You had studs on the bottom, actually 4 under studs on the bottom, so you could attach it onto bricks, and then you even had studs on the top, so you could have a minifigure ride the creatures if you wanted. I really liked these creatures because, while of course the wings didn't flap, they were just single molds, they did have a very classic Lego animal sort of feel to them, which is really hard to replicate today, and I really appreciate just how much detail went into them. But moving on from that, we got the baby dinosaur, or as some sets called it, the baby T-Rex. Now this is the dinosaur element from this line that would last the longest, appearing in sets as recent as 2009. It was first introduced in green in a number of sets: the all-terrain Trapper, the baby T-Rex trap, a Dino Head Attack from Studios, the Dino Research Compound, Johnny Thunder and Baby T, the Steven Spielberg Movie Maker set, and even in 2006 for the Batcave, Penguin, and Mr. Freeze's Invasion, as well as the T-Rex Transport. One of the strangest ones, though, came in red. In LEGO Studios in 2001, the T-Rex baby was recolored in red for the Mini Rex polybag. It's the only set it ever came in, and it's very bizarre how they made a special recolor for that set. The other strange recolor here is the metallic gold or drum lacquered gold and tan. Tan is technically not an official color, but a number of misprints made their way to the market after the metallic gold version appeared in Gold Toots Getaway, a 2009 LEGO Agent set which had it featured as a golden statue, and of course tan is what's underneath when you rub off all of the gold. And finally, LEGO Indiana Jones in 2008 introduced the baby T-Rex as a statue in dark bluish gray for the Temple Escape and the Temple of the Crystal Skull. Altogether, they got a surprisingly high amount of usage out of this baby T-Rex mold, and while obviously this was just a very simple type of dinosaur, the more interesting dinosaurs were about to come, because 1 year after the introduction of dinosaurs in 2000, LEGO went all out with Dinosaurs 2001. Realizing that, well, kids love dinosaurs, LEGO decided to make a whole lineup of different types of dinosaurs for kids to collect in canisters, replicating the success of Bionicle in the same year. This is one of the most interesting sub-themes of LEGO, and it's honestly not something they would ever do today. The entire Dinosaurs line focused on using a set of individual uniquely molded elements to build your own dinosaurs, and they came in all shapes and sizes. In fact, despite the fact that there really were only 4 large-scale sets, you could rebuild each individual set into different creatures. And every single set included a ton of extra pieces to do so, which means that yes, for this video, I had to buy 4 copies of every single set just to be able to make all of the different types of dinosaurs they had available. Were they perfect replications of what the actual creatures were? Absolutely not, and some of them were more of a stretch than others, because obviously LEGO was trying to use generic dinosaur-like pieces to be able to build just different types of dinosaurs, and sometimes wildly different types as well. Unfortunately, that did mean that some of these alternate versions basically just meant removing horns and placing them in different areas, but you know, they did try to work with what they had, and I do appreciate these pieces because they really tried to give you a lineup of interesting elements. Pieces that were obviously meant specifically for dinosaurs, but they could use to swap around through a variety of different sets. Take set number 6720, Tyrannosaurus Rex for example, you could rebuild it into a ton of different creatures, including a Spinosaurus, which obviously the head does not look like that, but they were basically working with what they had to get, and I still hope that we get Spinosauruses in actual LEGO Jurassic World, because that would be really cool. Of course, in this category, I am also lumping together the LEGO Studios buildable dinosaurs. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I'm only counting dinosaurs here that had at least one uniquely molded dinosaur-specific piece to them. So while I'm not counting other fully brick-built dinosaurs like the Creator Dinosaurs or Jurassic World, I figured those should be displayed in this category because they basically were all using the same pieces. However, there are so many of these sets in the Dinosaurs 2001 polybag because in addition to the 4 main sets, 6720 Tyrannosaurus Rex, 6721 Mosasaurus, 6722 Styracosaurus, and 6719 Brachiosaurus, they also had a series of baby dinosaur polybags, a baby Ankylosaurus, a baby Iguanodon, a baby Brachiosaurus, and a baby Dimetrodon, and as you saw for LEGO Studios, we had even more baby dinosaurs. A few more dinosaurs in this style were actually released as part of LEGO Studios as well. As a tie-in to Jurassic Park 3, we got 2 sets for LEGO Studios, one of which was 1371 Spinosaurus Attack Studio, which of course did feature the Spinosaurus, just basically reusing the same exact molds as the T-Rex though, so doesn't really count as a Spinosaurus, as well as the Raptor Rumble Studio, set number 1370, which had brick-built raptors which honestly don't really stand the test of time. That same set also featured buildable versions of pteranodons and pterodactyls, which was interesting given that just a year prior, LEGO had a dedicated mold for these, but I guess they wanted to be a little bit bigger and more menacing, so they decided to brick build it, and yeah, again, it's a pretty rudimentary build here, and I'm not the biggest fan of the way they pulled these off, but you know, they were trying, and I guess props for effort. Even LEGO Alpha Team and original LEGO Spy Base theme got in on the fun, releasing 4797 in 2002, which was the Ogle Mutant Killer Whale, which is definitely one of the strangest creatures we've got, featured on the evil villain Ogle trying to transform sea creatures with technology to do his bidding. And again, going back to those Studios polybags, we had a number of unique recolors of this specialized dragon head in red, orange, and bright green. These were really the only times that we ever got these heads in those colors, which continues that very bizarre trend of random LEGO Studios polybags having recolored dinosaur pieces exclusive to only those sets. I really don't know why LEGO did this, but hey, it is still good to get different colors, so I'm certainly not complaining. Altogether, the LEGO Dinosaurs line was kind of like a testing ground for what molded dinosaurs would look like in the future for LEGO, and while it would take a few more iterations for them to really nail molded dinosaurs, I really do appreciate these for what they are. They're kind of a simple charm, blending existing LEGO pieces with very specialized molded parts, and absolutely a product of their time. But flash forward to 2005, and we got LEGO Dino Attack, or LEGO Dino 2010, depending on what region you were in. This is one of the funniest LEGO themes ever, because for American audiences, these sets were marketed as Dino Attack, having metal names like T1 Typhoon versus T-Rex, Iron Predator versus T-Rex, Fire Hammer versus Mutant Lizards, Urban Avenger versus Raptor, and Street Sprinter versus Mutant Lizard. You know, of course, because Americans love violence and fighting and warfare. But in Europe and pretty much every other region, LEGO decided to take a more peaceful approach, having names like Dino Quad, or Dino Track Transport, or Dino Air Tracker. Don't worry guys, they're not firing against the dinosaurs, they're just simply tracking them or chasing them, like the Dino Buggy Chaser. These sets were pretty much identical in all of the regions, except some of them had weapons and some of them didn't, which is really strange, but they did all use the same dinosaurs. So let's take a look at these right now. These were the mutant lizards, and they are some of the strangest LEGO creatures ever. In fact, I would wager to say that these are the most un-LEGO-like of any LEGO dinosaur we've ever gotten, and I certainly have mixed feelings on them. Starting off with the smallest of these creatures, these were the mutant lizards. That was pretty much all that they were called, but they were basically like baby raptors, I guess. They pretty much had no stud connectors other than small studs in the bottom, fully rubberized, and there were two different variations, one with blue specks and one with yellow specks, each appearing in two different sets. Moving upwards from there, we had a mutant raptor or velociraptor. So I guess that this one was the one that explicitly was supposed to be the raptor. You can see it's utilizing the click and ratchet joints pioneered in LEGO Knights Kingdom. And this really set the template for what LEGO wanted to do with the dinosaurs of this line. Large-scale, brutish dinosaurs that didn't look much like LEGO except for a very large identifying stud on the back. The raptor came in the Dino Buggy Chaser or the Urban Avenger versus Raptor, depending on what region you were in. The second biggest dinosaur was the mutant Pteranodon, which came in only the Dino Air Tracker or the T1 Typhoon versus T-Rex, again depending on your region, and this is actually one of my favorites just because those gigantic wing elements are so useful for buildable action figures like Bionicle elements, and I do like how they were trying to reuse pieces here and there for the dinosaurs. But of course, the stars of the show were the mutant Tyrannosaurus Rexes with light-up eyes and tongues. We got a red version in the T1 Typhoon vs. T-Rex and a dark green version in the Iron Predator vs. T-Rex, or the Dino Air Tracker and Dino Track Transport respectively. These were a lot of fun, and I have a lot of fond memories of LEGO selling these at wholesale in Legoland Germany because that's actually where I got mine. They were selling them for like $2 a pop, which is absolutely not what they're worth today, but it's really fun because you can actually press a button on the back of their heads, the eyes light up, the tongue lights up, the jaw can be open and closed, and yeah. While they're not my favorite LEGO dinosaurs, and I definitely feel like LEGO had a long way to go before they actually managed to perfect the dinosaur design, this was kind of the beginning of what they were initially trying to set out to do with fully molded large-scale dinosaurs. A concept that would not be perfected, in my opinion, until the release of Dino 2012. In the year 2012, we had a team of paleontologists and archaeologists who discovered an island full of dinosaurs and were trying to coexist peacefully alongside them, creating vehicles to trap them and study them. And that is where we got the modern iteration of the LEGO dinosaur. Let's take a look at those from smallest to largest. But now it's time to move on to a more modern style of dinosaur. In 2012, LEGO introduced the Dino 2012 theme, which introduced a brand new system for buildable dinosaurs, which was eventually followed up in Jurassic World. Since we're going from smallest to largest, we're going to start with the baby dinosaurs introduced for this system or style of LEGO dinosaurs, starting off with these infant dinosaurs that only pretty much came out for a couple of themes, mainly Jurassic World, the LEGO Movie 2, and a couple others here and there. We'll start off with some of the oddities on the list. You may notice that a couple of them here actually are fully unprinted. There is a sand green unprinted one, an olive green unprinted one, as well as a dark orange. Well, the first unprinted dinosaur that we got was sand green right here. That's this baby dinosaur, and this one actually came as part of a LEGO Batman set in 2019. Set number 76122 was Batcave Clayface Invasion, and this was meant to represent the T-Rex that Batman has on display in his lair. The next one here, which was the dark orange one, actually came out in 2022 and 2023 on Pick-a-Brick of all things. This never came in any standard LEGO set, but for whatever reason you could officially order this unprinted dark tan version from lego.com directly for those 2 years. It's no longer available now, but that is why it is an official item on this list. And lastly, the final unprinted baby dinosaur here is this olive green version that came in set number 21324-123 Sesame Street, which was a LEGO Idea set in 2020 meant to represent a toy dinosaur. Altogether, those are kind of the display and toy style of the dinosaurs, and as for the rest of them, they are actually meant to represent actual baby dinosaurs. Now, the first one here is the very first dinosaur that we ever got as a baby, which is this one. It is the dark blue stripes and yellow eyes pattern, as well as sand green dinosaur introduced in 2018, and this actually comes in a ton of different sets. Set number 121903, which is the Baby Raptor foil pack in 2019, 30382, Baby Velociraptor playpen polybag in 2018, set number 5005255, Bricktober minifigure collection Jurassic World in 2018, 75931, Dilophosaurus Outpost Attack in 2018, 122113, Owen with helicopter foil pack, 11934 Jurassic World Build Your Own Adventure book, 122217 Raptor and Hiding foil pack in 2021, and finally 75933 T-Rex Transport in 2018. Oh man, that was a mouthful, and clearly this is one of the most popular versions of the baby dinosaurs that they've done, releasing from 2018 all the way to 2021, came in a ton of different sets, European magazines, and that's why the value on this one is probably one of the lowest at around only 50 cents. Moving on from that one, we got another standard dinosaur in this dark orange one with a reddish brown back and dark brown stripes here. That one is another one of these standard generic dinosaurs. Is not really meant to represent one in particular, and this one also appeared throughout 2018 to 2022, appearing in 121801 Baby Raptor and Nest foil pack in 2018, 76942 Baryonyx Dinosaur Boat Escape in 2021, 75929 Carnotaurus Gyrosphere Escape in 2018, 30390 Dinosaur Market Polybag in 2022, 75930 Indoraptor Rampage and Longwood Escape in 2018, 75936 Jurassic Park T-Rex Rampage in 2019, 121904 Owen with Baby Raptor foil pack in 2019, 122219 Raptor with Hatchery foil pack in 2022, and 10758 T-Rex Breakout in 2018. And I promise those are the last of the ones that appear in a ton of sets. Again, because this does appear in a ton of different sets, this one is also only around 50 to 60 cents, which is really nice. Moving onwards to the dinosaurs introduced in 2019, we actually got a couple of specific ones for the LEGO Movie 2. Of course, these were meant to be accompanying Rex, who had a pack of dinosaurs along with him, and this one actually did come in 3 different sets: 70820 Movie Maker, 70839 The Rexcelsior, and collectible minifigure 2-14 Vest Friend Rex from the LEGO Movie 2, all of which released in 2019. The interesting thing is, this baby dinosaur is actually meant to signify a microscale version of the standard raptors that Rex commands in the movie. You can see you have the actual blue spot on the eye right there, which is quite interesting, and we'll take a look at the actual full-size raptor later on in the video. Alongside this one, we also got a gunmetal gray and green one, which is really interesting because this is actually supposed to represent a cancelled LEGO dinosaur. We were actually supposed to get a gunmetal gray raptor with lime green spots for the LEGO Movie 2. Unfortunately, because the LEGO Movie 2 sets didn't sell that well, they chose not to produce it. But you can still see some. It's at Legoland California in a display. We saw it at the Lego House in a prototypes display as well, but this one did actually appear in an actual set, 70839 The Rexcelsior, which included 3 copies of this pearl dark gray or gunmetal gray dinosaur here, which clearly was meant to signify a microscale version of a raptor that sadly we never got. Moving onwards from that one, we actually got a ton of specialized little dinosaurs as part of the T-Rex vs. Dino Mecha Battle set 75938 in 2019. All of these baby dinosaurs were supposed to depict a prequel to the first Jurassic World movie, aka the 4 main raptors that Owen is actually commanding in that first movie, and this one is the baby version of Blue from the movie itself. Because it only ever appeared in that one set, this is around $4 to $5 US. It's a really small thing, but I think it's really cool how we actually got baby versions of all of these dinosaurs, which are very prominent in the first Jurassic World movie, and you can clearly see the markings that they were trying to do to mimic the larger scale raptor, which we'll take a look at later on. Of course, in that set, we did get all of the other companions as well. The next one up is Charlie here. Now, Charlie is a little bit less rare because they also included him in a European magazine foil pack, 122010 Baby Dino Transport foil pack in 2020. Also included this copy of Charlie, which is really nice, making him no longer exclusive to the T-Rex versus Dino Mech battle, and because of that, the price is only around $1 to $2 US. Moving onwards, a very similar thing happened with the dinosaur Echo here, who you can see in baby form from that same set. He also appeared in 122008 Create Dino foil pack in 2020. So there you go, this is the baby version of Echo from Jurassic World, and I just love how one single set gave us all 4 of these iconic baby dinosaurs, which of course grew up to be the dinosaurs that we know and love from the main movie. This one is also $1 to $2 because of that. And lastly, we have Jurassic World Delta here. This is the final one that came in that set, but funnily enough, they actually included this one in a ton of other sets as well, because it's probably generic enough that it just makes sense that you can include this one in other sets as well. This one specifically came in 122112 Dr. Wu's Laboratory Foil Pack in 2021, the 122330 Raptor and Trap Paper Bag number 2 in 2023. So this one is one of the ones that continues to appear. It also is in 122327 Raptor with Incubator Paper Bag, also 2023, 122221 Raptor with Nest Foil Pack in 2022, and finally 75942 Velociraptor Biplane Rescue Mission, which came out in 2020. Because this one appeared in so many sets, it is the one that is the least expensive out of the bunch at around only 40 to 50 cents. Next up, we had another one introduced in 2022, and this one is another sand green one with dark green and dark red stripes, which you can see on the back there. This one was introduced in 76945 Triceratops Dinosaur Bike Chase in 2022 for Jurassic World Dominion, but it later on went to appear in a ton of different foil packs and paper bags. 122224 Rain Delacourt with Raptor Foil Pack in 2022, 122331 Owen with Swamp Speeder and Raptor Paper Bag in 2023, and finally 122328 Owen with Jetpack and Raptor Paper Bag also in 2023. There's only 2 more Raptor baby dinosaurs to go here, and this one is a dark orange one with dark purple and white stripes, which is a really interesting color scheme. This one really caught my eye because it's pretty rare to get a purple color scheme for a dinosaur. It was also introduced in 76945 Triceratops Dinosaur Bike Chase in 2022, but has even appeared as recently as 2024 in 122401 Laboratory with Raptor Paper Bag, which came out earlier this year, as well as 122332 Jetpack Ranger with Raptor Paper Bag in 2023, Raptor and Trap Foil Pack 122222 in 2022, and finally Raptor and Trap Paper Bag number 1 122326 in 2023. What's with all the 2s in the set names? And finally, there is one last baby dinosaur right here for the standard baby dinosaur pattern, and this one was just introduced this year in 2024, appearing in only 2 sets, 76963 Baby Dinosaur Rescue Center, which came with a ton of different baby dinosaur animals, as well as 122403 Owen with Helicopter and Raptor Paper Bag in 2024. This is one of my favorites so far because it includes metallic blue coloration, which is actually a pretty rare color to see. It's very nice to see that printed on the back here, and I also like the purple head, which just really sets it apart compared to its compatriots. Since this one is pretty new, this one does retail for $3 to $4 US because it is one of the most recent ones we've ever gotten. However, for 2022 in Jurassic World Dominion, we actually were introduced to a brand new mold for a raptor-specific baby dinosaur. Whereas the other ones are meant to represent a ton of different baby dinosaurs, this one is specifically supposed to represent an adolescent raptor. Maybe this one could be like a teen raptor, but this one is supposed to be the character Beta from Jurassic World Dominion, coming in set number 76946, Blue and Beta Velociraptor Capture in 2022, retailing for around $2 to $3 US. Thankfully, we've gotten a different one as well. Actually, my apologies. This one right here is supposed to be Beta because it has the blue stripings on it with the dark blue eyes and stripes there. So this one is the Beta dinosaur. However, we did get a newer one in 2024, which is this one right here. It's a more generic dinosaur, appearing in that same Baby Dinosaur Rescue Center, as well as 122402 Raptor with Nest paper bag, also in 2024. Since this one is newer, the price is a little bit higher at $4 to $5 US, but I do expect that one to go down a bit. Of course, the raptors and other associated dinosaurs that are similarly shaped are not the only baby dinosaurs we've ever gotten in this style. I'm going to start off actually with the baby Triceratops here, because these ones actually came out first before the Ankylosaurus. Now this right here is an olive green one that came in 75939, Dr. Wu's Lab Baby Dinosaurs Breakout in 2020, retailing for around $5 to $6 US, and may I add, these molds are so adorable. I just love the amount of detail on them, the dual molding, the white and olive green. It's just the cutest thing ever. Moving on from that, we also got one in 2021 in Sand Blue. This one came in 76940 T-Rex Dinosaur Fossil Exhibition, and this one retails for around $5 to $6 US. And finally, we got one just recently this year in dark gray, which is probably the most realistic color you'd want to get out of these, in 76963 Baby Dinosaur Rescue Center, retailing for around $6 to $7, because again, this one is just brand new, but very, very cute and cool to see. I just love the molds for these, and I think these are some of the best small animals LEGO has done. Moving onwards from that, we also have a set of different baby Ankylosauruses, which were introduced in 2020. The first one was this one in sand green here, which came in 75939 Dr. Wu's Lab Baby Dinosaurs Breakout, retailing for around $3 to $5 US. Again, another very cute animal mold, but for me, I think the Triceratops is just a little bit cuter, although this one does give it a pretty good run for its money. Moving onwards from that one, we had a tan and teal one here. This is from set number 76939 Stygimoloch Dinosaur Escape from 2021. Only appeared in that one set, also retailing for $4 to $5 US, which you can see right here. And lastly, the final baby dinosaur we have to cover in this baby dinosaur segment is the latest one with a dark orange back, coming in set number 76963, Baby Dinosaur Rescue Center in 2024, coming in at around $5 to $6 US. I am a big fan of all of these baby dinosaurs, and this really is just the introduction to a brand new scale that LEGO had introduced already years prior for all new sorts of dinosaurs that they wanted to cover, and kind of redefining the style sets of dinosaurs. And so let's move on forwards back in time as we shift over to 2012 and take a look at the dinosaurs that defined the modern aesthetic. Moving on to our next category here, we have the Velociraptors, which were introduced in 2012 as part of the LEGO Dino theme. Now this was a complete reinvention of the way that LEGO was doing their dinosaur system, and we'll see a lot more of that later on in this video, and for this section I wanted to focus just on this style of Velociraptor build. Now, the interesting thing is that they've actually produced quite a lot of other animals, like the Gallimimus here, that actually use primarily these same exact body and arm elements, sometimes even the feet elements, as well as for all sorts of other creatures, but again, I'm giving those their own section and really just trying to focus in on the Velociraptors themselves. A separate section will be dedicated to other types of raptors, like the Atrociraptor here, as well as the Pyroraptor, and of course, there will be an extra segment on the baby dinosaurs as well, including the larger size of Baby Raptor and the smaller size of Baby Raptor, because clearly the raptors are some of the most diverse types of creatures that LEGO has ever done. We're going to start off with the two very first ones that we got, and these were really the ones that started the entire system here. It's really interesting because LEGO really just essentially chose a style for how they wanted to depict certain sizes of dinosaurs in 2012 and stuck with it. This one right here is the dark orange-backed Velociraptor, and you can see that they all come in multiple different pieces. They're all attached via Technic elements, so Technic pins attach the limbs onto the body itself. And the style of the Dino 2012 dinosaurs was a little bit different than what we would see in the modern style, especially in the graphic design for the eyes, which are a little bit more striking, a little bit more cartoonish than the standard, more quote-unquote realistic style dinosaurs. But here's what this one looks like. It came in only one set, 5887, the Dino Defense Headquarters, which was the largest set of the Dino 2012 wave, and if you want to pick up one right now, it'll cost you around $14 US. The next raptor, which also came in the 2012 series, is this guy right here. He is the Velociraptor with dark green back, lime markings, and tan claws. None of these have really names outside of just descriptors based on what they are, save for just a few of them. Again, all of these are pretty much identical with just different types of printing. This one came in set number 5884, the Raptor Chase in 2012, and you can get this one for much cheaper. It's around $6 to $7 US because it came in a much smaller set. Moving onwards, we wouldn't see any other raptors or dinosaurs until Jurassic World came out in 2015, which brought with us a whole host of different types of dinosaurs, and the really interesting thing to me is that this introduced the named Velociraptors. Obviously, the named ones that Chris Pratt's character Owen commands in the film are very important and serve a big role, especially in the first film, with Blue being a recurring character throughout the franchise. The really funny thing to me, and we'll get to this in a second, is that LEGO could never seem to decide what color Blue was supposed to be, so all three dinosaurs that you see here are supposed to be the same one. This is Blue from the first movie, Blue from the second movie, and Blue from the third movie, all supposed to be the exact same creature, but LEGO just decided that it looked different based on the coloration of the lighting in certain scenes, so they really just varied extremely differently for the same exact creature. We're going to focus in on the three named dinosaurs first because those ones are currently exclusive to the 2015 wave, two of which are actually pretty rare and expensive because they only came in one hard-to-find retail exclusive set. That being Raptor Charlie here, the olive green and dark green one, as well as Raptor Echo, who is the nougat-colored and olive green. Both of these were exclusive to set number 75920 Raptor Escape, which means that if you do want to pick these up, Charlie costs around $18 to $20 US, and if you want to get Echo, he costs around the same, at $20 to $25 US. The other Raptor thankfully did come in a standard set, and this is also the only time that LEGO actually produced this specialized Raptor kind of special ops type of helmet. This is a really funny piece, and I really wish they just put it in more sets because I feel like it would have been so cool to also be able to put it on the other two Raptors in the theme as well. It is very, very specialized. There are very few, if any, connection points, and it's literally just meant to sit over the raptor faces and provide some sort of a night vision camera on the top of them so you can actually see the point of view of the raptors as they're going through the terrain. What a wild plotline for the 2015 movie, but this one is Delta here. He came in the Raptor Rampage set, set number 75917 in 2015, and if you want to pick him up, he costs around $10 to $15 US. This, again, is just a really cool piece. It's very funky, and I really wish that they made more dino accessories like this, because it's just so fun putting that saddle-like piece on him over the top of the head and actually having it act as a camera. Setting these characters aside, though, there of course was the introduction of Blue in the Jurassic World series, and this one also came in the same Raptor Rampage set. This version of Blue is exclusive to the 2015 series of sets because, again, they changed his appearance pretty drastically every single time he appeared, and this one will cost you around $10 to $15. Again, this is what the head looks like without the helmet underneath, so this is what the printing is. Very subtle dark blue printing on the dark green head, and LEGO was really acting off of concept artwork, especially for this one, where they were trying to make it look as close as possible to the character in the movie, but obviously they were still just trying to develop it. If you actually look at pictures of Blue from Jurassic World, it's very, very difficult to figure out what color he actually is, and I do understand why LEGO had a very hard time with this, because under certain lighting conditions, he does look very olive green. However, dark green is just not the right color, so I understand that why they changed it, but I don't know, it's just very, very interesting seeing LEGO decide, is he like olive green, sand green, or is he light gray? This is all supposed to be the same character. Moving on though from this one, there are of course a number of other raptors that were introduced for not just the Jurassic Park and Jurassic World lineup, but also for the LEGO Movie 2 as well. However, I'm going to take this chance to just wrap up taking a look at the different variations of Blue first, because again, these are all supposed to be the same creature. This second version of Blue here, this one, is meant to be the one from the second movie, and I do actually feel that looking at pictures of Blue in the movie, this one comes close, but the most accurate is probably the last one, because there are a lot of pictures in just plain lighting where Blue looks very gray and not necessarily very green. However, this version did actually appear in 2 sets. It's one of the few times that a dinosaur was not exclusive to the set that it came in. Typically what LEGO likes to do is keep the animals exclusive, but this one came in set number 75928, Blue's Helicopter Pursuit, and it also came in 75930, Indoraptor Rampage at Lockwood Estate. And because of that, the value of this character is pretty low. It's around $7 to $10 US if you want to pick up this version of Blue. And lastly, there is the final one for Jurassic World Dominion. This was the final version of Blue that we ever got. It only came in 76946, Blue and Beta Velociraptor Capture, which came out in 2022, and forgot to mention the other version of Blue came out in 2018 to coincide with the movie, but this one is one of the most recent versions of the character, and to me the most iconic and the most accurate of all of the different variations, and thankfully this one is only around $4 to $6 US because it's so recent, although I would probably guess that if you watch this video, say a year from now, or maybe even 5 years from now, the value is going to go way up unless they include this version of the iconic dinosaur in any other sets, because I do feel like this is the most accurate, and the value is low right now because the movie just came out like 2 years ago, but I'm sure that as soon as these sets start disappearing from shelves, it will be a lot harder to find this guy. I really like the light gray color scheme. It feels very unique compared to a lot of the other dinosaurs that we've gotten, and as a bonus, we also got a couple of the babies as well, which we'll be taking a look at throughout the rest of the video when we take a look at the babies, but that's just a sneak peek of the little raptor family that you can build there. Moving onwards from that though, let's take a look at some of the other raptor dinosaurs that we got, and surprisingly, once you remove the named characters, there are not actually that many different variations of raptors that we got. Only 4 other different ones from the Jurassic Park and Jurassic World franchise, with the other 3 in the center being focused on the LEGO Movie. So speaking of the LEGO Movie, I think we might as well just go ahead and start with that, and let's just jump right into these ones right here. Now, as you may remember from the LEGO Movie 2, Rex Danger Buff was basically Chris Pratt's character in the movie. He was his alter ego, and because of that, they did a little bit of a Jurassic World pun there, where he was actually using raptors to employ in his evil pursuits. So here you can see the dark blue style of raptors. Now, there are 2 different variations of them. One of them has a green stripe on the eye for the Rex color scheme, and the other one has a blue stripe. These 2 are identical, however, one of them does have this gun mounted on the back, so I had to include it as a separate individual one. Unfortunately, LEGO did actually plan to release a 3rd variation of these in gunmetal gray. We actually see that in one of these summer sets, where we actually got, as you can see, the baby versions of the Raptors, or the microscale versions, except one of them is gunmetal gray and green. This one was developed, and at least 1 copy of it currently exists at the LEGO Movie display in Legoland, California. However, unfortunately, because the LEGO Movie 2 sets honestly didn't really do that well, they decided to scrap the gunmetal gray Raptor, and it only exists in prototype form. So who knows, maybe one day, if Legoland California decides to take down the display, who knows what's going to happen to that at least 1 existing copy of the gunmetal gray Raptor, but as it is right now, these are the only ones that we got for the LEGO Movie. The ones with the blue marking on the eyes, the 2 here, came in 2 sets, Rex's Rexplorer, set number 70835, and Rex's Rexstream Off-Roader, 70826. The one with blue markings is not super expensive, retailing at around $6 to $7 US, and the one with the lime green marking here also came in Rex's Rexplorer, 70835, and you can get that one for a similar price. It's a little more expensive because it was exclusive to one set, coming in at around $10 to $11. Moving onwards from that, though, we just have 4 more raptors to cover here, and we can move on from what is probably the most crowded section. There might even be more of these than T-Rexes, but we'll have to wait and check on that. But here you can see the last 4 raptors from the Jurassic Park and Jurassic World franchise. One of them, we're not in any particular order here, but I'll just start with this one. This one with dark blue and sand blue markings was exclusive to set number 75942, Velociraptor Biplane Rescue Mission, which was a set that came out in 2020, which specifically is meant to coincide with some of LEGO's own original animations, as well as the Jurassic World TV series on Netflix, which is why this one isn't necessarily corresponding to one particular creature other than what you see in the show, and it retails for around $10 to $11 for this creature. Moving on from that one, we actually get to some of my favorite raptors of all time, and especially because these ones are meant to mimic the ones from the original Jurassic Park movie, the very first Jurassic Park movie. This one only came in the Jurassic Park Velociraptor chase. It was also pretty iconic because it was our first Jurassic Park and not World focus set. That's set number 75932, which came out in 2018, and because of that, the value of this one is a little bit higher at around $15 US on Bricklink at the time of recording this video. To me, this is pretty much the perfect raptor meant to depict the ones from that very first Jurassic Park movie, and it's really good to get it in this color scheme because I'm a big fan of the way they were able to pull this off, and I'm happy we got at least one of them. Speaking of the Jurassic Park raptor, they actually retooled it to look like this, although to be completely honest, I kind of like the other one a little bit better. This is supposed to be the same one from the Jurassic Park sets, and this one came in the couple of newer Jurassic Park sets that we just got last year in 2023, set number 76957 Velociraptor Escape and 76961 Visitor Center T-Rex and Raptor Attack. Because this literally just came out last year at the time of recording this video, it's only around $5 to $8 on Bricklink, and it does come in 2 sets, but again, it is supposed to be that Jurassic Park raptor, so I'm sure the value is going to go up in the future. Lastly, there is just one bit of an outlier here. This is the lime green raptor, and sometimes LEGO decides to do some crazy colors like this one. It's exclusive to a 2018 set meant to coincide with Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, which was set number 10757 Raptor Rescue Truck. This one was a 4+ set, so they decided to go a little bit more colorful with the color scheme and make it a bit more fun for kids. Maybe the realism isn't quite there, but I do like that at least one of them is fun and very colorful compared to the very quote-unquote realistic style of coloration that we got for all of the other raptors. It's a fun one with the Mata Green and the Lime Green, and it retails for around $5 to $7 because most people want to have the more realistic raptors in their display. And with that, we have summed up our look at all of these standard Velociraptors. But there are a couple more outliers that I figure we should mention at the end of this section just to be able to delve into them, and that is the Pyroraptor here and the 2 Indoraptors on the side. These ones are all from the Jurassic World Dominion movie, which is of course the latest movie in the franchise. The Pyroraptor in particular came out in 2022 in set number 76951, Pyroraptor and Dilophosaurus Transport. This is featuring an all-new mold, which you can see the feathers on the bottom of the arms, which I think is a really cool touch, as well as on the tail, because obviously as the Jurassic Park and Jurassic World franchise evolves, we have learned more about dinosaurs, and we've learned more about prehistoric creatures, and realized that many of them actually did have feathers like this one. So it's really cool how they actually were able to also include the opening and closing mouth here. The mouth is the same that is shared among many of these smaller dinosaurs, much like some of these smaller Dilophosauruses, which we'll take a look at in a little bit as well. But this one has an all-new body. It only came in one set in 2022, but it already is a little expensive. It's already going up to $10 to $15 just for this, because it's pretty unlikely we'll ever see this again, and if we do, it definitely will be in a different color, so it is just a really interesting creature to get. The Indoraptors here are from 2 different sets, and it is cool that we actually got 2 different styles of Indoraptors from the Jurassic World Dominion movie. This one in orange and tan is from set number 76948, T-Rex and Atrociraptor Dinosaur Breakout. So the Atrociraptor here also retails for around $10 to $15, and you can see the mouth opens and closes like so, which is a ton of fun. You can see the tail wagging, which is rubberized, and you have the tan and orange in it, so that is a very cool detail. I also really like how the face looks head-on. Just look at that. That's pretty funny to me. But then moving onwards, we have the one final a Triceratops, and this one is the white one here, which only came in set number 76945, a Triceratops dinosaur bike chase in 2022, and because that was such a small set, this is only retailing for around $2 to $5 US, making this one of the most affordable dinosaurs you can get, and one that would be really good for quote-unquote army building, or maybe herd or pack building for dinosaurs like this. But now I think it's time that we move on to some of the other creatures on the list. Next up in the size category is the Dilophosaurus, and this is a really interesting example of LEGO initially creating a dinosaur based on one particular scale, and realizing that it was just a little bit too large compared to the actual animal or how it was depicted in the movie, and decided to create a brand new mold to scale it down later on in the future. So the first two dinosaurs here are the Dilophosaurus models from the first two Jurassic World movies, this one from 2015 and this one from 2018, and then the other two here are scaled down after LEGO realized that they made them a little bit too big, which I think is really funny, but also you could pretend that maybe one of them is a baby version or an adolescent version and they could grow up to this size. It is really just up to you depending on how you want to play with them, so that's how it works. I'm going to start off with the very first one here. This one is bright lime green, which I think is maybe a little bit too bright for something like this, but I do like how colorful it is, kind of like the lime raptor in the previous one. This only came in 75916 Dilophosaurus Ambush, which came with a Jeep as well as one of the gyrospheres. This one only retails for around $5 to $6 US because it is one of the more unrealistic ones with the very bright color scheme as well as the large size, but this one I've always been really partial to because I think it is a really fantastic print. The head mold is really great. I love how you can see the detail of the frills expanding outwards. It's just a lot of fun. And obviously, as you can see, this is reusing a lot of raptor style components. The legs have been just barely modified to allow it to not have the distinctive raptor claw, which obviously when you take a look at any one of the other raptors, you'll be able to see them have that very distinctive claw right there that is missing from the Dilophosaurus, but the hands are completely identical, and they really were trying to get the most bang for their buck here and be able to just have a creature like this. So this is the lime green one from 2015. In 2018, for the second movie, we also got a more realistic color scheme version. This is with an olive green head, arms, and legs. It came in set number 75931 Dilophosaurus Outpost Attack in 2018, which was basically a large part of a gate keeping the Dilophosaurus in. This one retails for around $10 to $15 and it's very similar to its predecessor, but just with slightly more realistic color scheming, as well as very vibrant prints on the side right here, where you can see that they've actually modified the print ever so slightly just to include some speckles in it as well, which I think is very cool. Obviously, LEGO realized that they probably just weren't quite right on the way that they actually depicted these creatures, so they actually went and again changed it around. Really interestingly, the first one that we got was the second version of the Dilophosaurus, which you can see right here. This one was introduced in 2019 for set number 75934 Dilophosaurus on the Loose, and the identical dinosaur was included in 2022 for 76951 Pyroraptor and Dilophosaurus Transport, which is really interesting how this dinosaur was pretty much unchanged across a number of different years. They didn't even try to create a brand new one, but this is just a nice, more scale accurate design compared to minifigures. It's like still a little big, especially if you put it next to a minifigure. They shouldn't be this big, but again, it is all just also sort of a blend of fantasy. These are not 100% scientifically accurate anyways, so it doesn't really matter. I do like how they actually have printing on the teeth there, especially for a jaw this small. Sometimes LEGO doesn't do the printing, but they really did try to go above and beyond for this particular creature, which is really nice. You have just barely visible tan printing on the teeth there. It's just a really good design. You've got a rubberized tail that can move back and forth, and this one, since it came in two sets, one of which just came out in 2022, is pretty cheap as well, only around $2 to $5. Lastly, we have the final movie-accurate Dilophosaurus from the Jurassic Park movie wave. I find it very funny how this is almost identical to the larger version in color scheme, and just has a slight variation in the way that they actually did the size, obviously, but this one came in 76958 Dilophosaurus Ambush from 2023, harkening back to the original Jurassic Park movie, and this one retails for around $5 to $7 because it is the most movie-accurate one that you can get for Jurassic Park. Overall, I do like the way that LEGO has depicted the Dilophosaurus creatures. I think the smaller scale works a lot better, but of course you do lose some of the articulation because of that, but they're still really fun to play with, and we can move on to the next creatures. Also in the raptor size class are two of these herbivores. We have the Stygimoloch as well as the Gallimimus. My apologies if I do butcher the pronunciation of this particular creature. I looked it up and I've seen a lot of different variations and arguments on how it should be pronounced, so I personally just decided to go with the way that LEGO themselves pronounces it, as Stygimoloch, as you can see in the LEGO Jurassic World shorts. Now, these creatures are obviously using the exact same mold sets as the raptors, just with different heads and different arms, and of course using the legs that do not have the large claw on them. The Stygimoloch was introduced in 2018 with Stygimoloch Breakout 75927, with this creature right here because obviously it did feature in the second Jurassic World movie. I really do like how they even were able to introduce a new piece for the arms here. They did not need to do that, but it just makes it feel more like an herbivore and less threatening. I also love the amount of detail on the headpiece here. The spikes on the side look really good. You have the enlarged skull and cranium at the top here, and you even have a place for spikes to be sticking out of the back. Overall, despite these being very similar to the raptors, I actually find them a lot more interesting than the raptors themselves, and I do like how we at least have two different variations of it. The second variation came in Stygimoloch Dinosaur Escape in 2021. That was set number 76939. This was meant to kind of be related to LEGO's own original media as well as the Jurassic World TV show, so it's in a different coloration of olive green and the brown here. Since this one's a little bit more recent, this one retails for $8 to $9 US, and the other one retails for $10 to $12. In terms of the other herbivores, we actually have also gotten a Gallimimus, and this is the only time we've gotten the Gallimimus in one particular set. It came in 2020 for set number 75940, Gallimimus and Pteranodon Breakout, and because it only came in that one set, this retails for around $20 US for just this small dinosaur. Really, the only super special thing about it is the headpiece. The jaw is the same as a jaw that they've used on many of the other sets, but this is a really unique piece. You attach it via a Technic pin, and this is what it looks like from all of the different angles. I really do like this one because I feel like the Gallimimus is a very iconic dinosaur that we've seen a lot of times in Jurassic-related media, but it's a shame that we only ever got one version of it in LEGO. It is still nice, though, that we did at least get one. But now we can move on to some other animals that are just a little bit larger than these. But before that, there is one last dinosaur we have to cover that is within this similar size. And that is one that I wasn't even sure if I should have included on the list, but you know what? I think it counts. It's Rex from Toy Story. Now, the thing about this is that yes, by my criteria of this list, he is a molded dinosaur. He is not like a brick-built one, and obviously some brick-built ones are actually included on this list anyway, so, I mean, if you really think about it, my rules are pretty flexible here. And yes, while it is a licensed character, I do feel like this one actually does fit pretty well on the list because it is supposed to be just a smaller scale T-Rex. Now the interesting thing is that we actually got different variations of Rex based on where we actually got him in the time period when the movies were coming out. In 2010, when we got our first LEGO Toy Story sets, we got the first version of Rex here. They are identical save for prints, but as you can see, you've got the legs right here, which are attached by Technic pins. You also have a very unique tail piece, which only was included in the Rex dinosaur, as well as a more kind of white style of underbelly, and even the arms are rubberized and move up and down, so this is actually pretty articulatable. He came in two sets, 7598 Pizza Planet Truck Rescue in 2010, as well as 7597 Western Train Chase in 2010 as well, both of which, by the way, absolutely fantastic and iconic sets. This one thankfully only retails for around $5 to $6 US because it is something that we did get more recently with Toy Story 4, and I'm sure that when we get Toy Story 5, we'll be seeing him again. When we did get Toy Story 4 eventually, they actually just brought back a lot of the older molds, which was very surprising, but I guess if you're going to depict him one way, you gotta figure out a way to do it. Same rubberized pieces, same basic elements used for the legs here, which you can see right there, and even the same piece used for the tail itself. The only difference was the prints. As you can see on the newer version, he has a tan underbelly instead of white, and they actually printed eyebrows on him as well, which I think is very, very cute, and I do really like how they actually were able to include the eyebrows on him. He only comes in one set, 10769 Toy Story 4 RV Vacation, and because of that, he's a little bit more expensive at $8 to $10 US for this particular creature. It's really interesting how LEGO did just decide to make a brand new dinosaur style of mold for this particular character, but it works really well, and he does fit very nicely with the other dinosaurs on the list. In case you're curious about scale comparisons, I'm just going to grab a normal raptor, which you can see is slightly larger than Rex. Obviously, it's just got a little bit more going on. And then if you take a look at some of the other animals that we have around here, he scales a little bit better to some of these smaller style of creatures. So you've got like one of these ones right here, which I feel like is a pretty good scale. While he doesn't necessarily fit in with the rest of the dinosaurs, I feel like Rex deserved a spot on this list as well because he is, of course, a molded LEGO dinosaur. But now we can move on to some larger items. Alright, moving up slightly in size here, we have a completely different class of prehistoric animal, and these are the flying creatures. A lot of pteranodons, as well as the Quetzalcoatlus, which I definitely have to start by talking about because this is absolutely crazy to see here. I'm a big fan of this creature. You have the beak that opens up and closes. You have the wings that are so big they are literally mounted on Knight's Kingdom 2 ratchet joints, which you can rotate back and forth. This is absolutely crazy, and I just love the design of this creature. The Quetzalcoatlus came in 76947. Quetzalcoatlus played Ambush in 2022 for the third Jurassic World movie, and currently retails for around $12 US, although I'm sure that as the years pass, this is going to go way up in value. The only thing that I kind of wish they included was maybe some sort of a head articulation. Honestly, I don't really know how LEGO would have done it other than mounting it on a ball joint or something like that, but one of the most iconic parts of seeing the Quetzalcoatlus is seeing it kind of standing next to a human, and unfortunately a lot of that is lost by this because it is kind of stuck in the flying form. It does make it look really cool as it is flying through the sky, and you can do a lot with it in terms of flapping the wings. I just wish that you could pose it up a little bit more, but that would have required a completely different type of mold. Still, it's a really great looking creature. I just love how it has the ratchet joints included, and it's a really good start to the flying creature category that we have right here. Other than this, and of course the one that we already saw for the Dino Attack dinos, we only just have other pteranodons that we have for the flying creatures with us. I'm kind of surprised LEGO hasn't done a smaller version of these because I've always felt that they're a little bit big compared to the standard minifigure, but I guess unlike the Dilophosaurus, it wasn't so oversized that they decided that they really necessitated having to change them around. The very first pteranodons that we got were for the Dino line in 2012. This one right here is the dark green back and olive green dinosaur, which is the one that came in Ocean Interceptor, set number 5888. That was a set that was in 2012, and if you want to pick up this pteranodon, it retails for around $20 to $25 US because it was one of the first ones. This is really what set the look and feel for pteranodons going forwards into LEGO's future. I really do like the way they're done, where you have the different clips that hold on the wings. The wings themselves are a little rubberized, so you can actually bend them back and forth to mimic flight. Even the way the head works is that you can actually have the jaw move up and down, and the entire thing is rubberized, so you can actually go ahead and remove the head and even remove the beak here. So this is really what it looks like with all the components removed. You just insert this in, and you can wrap the head around here, and you actually just have it click back and forth based on how you want it to move. I think it's a really good system that they developed for these creatures, and I like it. Moving onwards, we got one other version of it in the 2012 Dino line, and this is the dark orange and dark brown or reddish brown back pteranodon. It came in set number 5883 Tower Takedown, which was a smaller set, meaning that thankfully this one is not super expensive. It's only around $5 to $8 US. The other one was so expensive because the Ocean Interceptor plane it came in also was a retailer exclusive, which this one thankfully was not. This to me feels like the most classic version of the pteranodon, where you have this orange color scheme. I just feel like when I think of a pterodactyl or a pteranodon, this is really what comes to mind, so I'm very glad they were able to develop it in this color because we haven't really seen one like this since. Moving on from that though, we got a host of new pteranodons for Jurassic World, the most common of which is the dark red and dark gray version that we got for the very first Jurassic World movie in 2015. This one actually comes in two different sets. It came in the 2015 Pteranodon Capture set, set number 75915, as well as set number 10756 Pteranodon Escape in 2018, making this one of the more common versions of the character. technically, there are slight variations in the way these are done. Depending on the way that you want to see the color scheme, there are some molding differences in the 2015 to 2018, but I figured they're basically the same creature, so I've only really included it once. It is a nice and striking color scheme. I do like the dark red and dark gray on it, but again, it's just not the most interesting because it was in the smallest Jurassic World set, and we got it twice. Moving on from that, though, we have some more interesting color schemes here. As the years went on, they began to develop different styles. One of my favorites here is this olive green and dark red version, which came out also in 2018 for the Pteranodon Chase set number 75926. It only came in that set in 2018 and retails now for around $5 to $8 US, and I just really like the color scheme on this one. The dark red and olive green I think looks really, really good, very striking, and it just is another great one to add to the collection. Moving onwards from that, we just have a couple more of them. The first one here is the sand green one and dark green. So this one is a Pteranodon that retails for around $8 to $10. It came out in 2020 for set number 75940, Gallimimus and Pteranodon Breakout. And this one is just another standard one. I think the color scheme is just okay on this one. The sand green and dark green is not particularly super striking, but it does feel somewhat realistic. And then lastly, we've got a dark blue one right here in sand blue, and this one does actually also come in two sets. In 2022, we got it in 76943 Pteranodon Chase, and in 2024, we got it for the Baby Dinosaur Rescue Center, which is a set that literally just came out, and it's really interesting how they actually were able to put this out just even 2 years later. This just came out this year, but it's a nice one to get. Because it's the most modern one, it retails for around $3 to $5 US, and that's all we have to say for the larger scale Pteranodons. Dino 2012 introduced the Triceratops to the LEGO dinosaur portfolio, something that was missing from the 2015 Jurassic World wave, and one that was highly sought after because for a while it was one of the rarest dinosaurs LEGO ever made until they introduced it in different colors for the rest of the Jurassic World franchise. We also have a host of baby Triceratops as well, which are some of my personal favorite dinosaurs, which you can see right there, but again, we talked about those when we looked at the baby dinosaurs near the start. Now, in terms of the adult Triceratops, the OG one is this one right here. Now, this is a really interesting set of pieces because each of the elements is fully unique, mounted on ratchet joints, and this is really where we start getting to the larger animals. The head itself can be fully articulated, move back and forth, side to side, which I think is really great because then you can get it in all sorts of charging poses, which is very, very cool. And overall, this one is one of my favorite dinosaurs they've ever done. It came in set number 5885, aptly titled Triceratops Trapper, and right now retails for around $25 to $40 US, depending on the quality, which was a lot higher. I remember when this was over $100, but thankfully, the price has gone down ever since LEGO introduced some of the newer ones. Thankfully, again, as I mentioned, in 2019, we did get the Triceratops back for Jurassic World in the Triceratops Rampage set. Set number 75937 was Triceratops Rampage, and it came out in 2019, introducing this olive green Triceratops, which now actually starts to eclipse the original one in terms of value, coming in at around $30 to $45 US. This is a really nicely printed one, and also is one of my favorite print styles for the Triceratops. I think the olive green and dark brown is a really good color scheme and color combo, and the tan on the bottom just really is the icing on the cake. I love how even the hooves are printed in light gray, so everything just feels very, very great when it comes to this particular creature. And again, the Triceratops are some of my favorite LEGO dinosaurs ever, and it's really cool to be able to spotlight them in this video. It wouldn't be until a few years later when we got our next Triceratops. This one is the dark bluish gray version that came in the 2022 set for Jurassic World Dominion, set number 76950 Triceratops Pickup Truck Ambush. This one retails for around $17 to $25 US, and this one feels again more of like a realistic color scheme. Not 100% sure how I feel about the just all plain tan legs at the front here. I feel like it was a little bit better when they had the dark gray and then just the tan feet printed, but I guess it's okay. It just does something a little bit different compared to the other ones, and this one does have a lot of scars on it. This one has clearly seen some battle damage, even a scar over the eyes, so this one I feel like would be really good for the people who do create like mocks based on battle dinosaurs. I feel like this one is ready for battle. It's seen some action, and that's what makes this one a little bit more aggressive, especially with the dark red and dark, is that dark red, or yeah, that's dark red on the front, so really, really cool coloration for this. And then finally, we got sets that harken back to the original Jurassic Park movie, with this Triceratops coming in the 2023 set 76959 Triceratops Research, with, of course, an appropriately brick-built Triceratops dung alongside it as well, which retails for around $18 to $25 US. This one feels like the most classic of the Triceratops to me. It has this kind of darker nougat and dark brown color scheme, or the regular brown, reddish brown, but it has the darker nougat down in the bottom there, which is realistic, especially for the Jurassic Park movie, but also one that I don't know if I necessarily am the biggest fan of the color scheme. I think the olive green one is probably my favorite, and the original one is also close. This one I feel like the browns just kind of start to blend together in the coloration of it, but again, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because if you do look at the Triceratops in the first movie, that's exactly what it looked like, so here's what it is. That's pretty much all for the different types of Triceratops, which is really cool how LEGO has given us 4 different versions. When I was a kid growing up, the Triceratops were always my favorite dinosaur. I guess I love the T-Rex as well, but these ones were always the most interesting. I used to carry around the original Triceratops from the LEGO Adventures Dino Island sets, and it's really cool to see the evolution of these creatures and how far LEGO has come in their design language over the years. And again, it is very great to get the baby ones as well, because they are just so adorable. Next up, in our mid-size category, we have a motley assortment of all sorts of different creatures, of which only 2 are the same animal. We're going to start off with this one right here, because this is the most unique out of all of them, the Indoraptor, which is actually not a real-world dinosaur. It was one of the hybrids created for the Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom second movie, where it basically was a hybrid between a ton of different animals, and it only featured in one set number 75930, Indoraptor Rampage at Lockwood Estate. Since this came out in 2018 and only came in a single set, the value of this is upwards of $40 to $50 US, making it one of the rarer dinosaurs on this list. And it's really interesting how they were able to create a whole new set of molds for this, from the gigantic raptor style of feet with the giant claw kind of sticking outwards. They even reused the Indominus Rex hands here, which you can actually use to grip minifigures and rotate around. These are their own individual pieces, which is really interesting. And of course, the head is all new. It's kind of like a large-scale version of a raptor head, which you can have the jaw open and close. It's a really cool design for an all-black colored dinosaur, and we don't really see stuff like this lately, especially because this is supposed to be one particular hybrid, but it's a really interesting set of molds, and definitely one of the ones that we might not ever see again because of how obscure it is, and how it isn't even a real dinosaur, all things considered. Moving onwards from that, though, we can take a look at the next one, and that is the Baryonyx. Now, we've gotten 2 different colors of the Baryonyx so far. This gray one came in set number 75935, Baryonyx Face Off, The Treasure Hunt, in 2019, which was for LEGO's original animated movies, and then the one that's green came in Baryonyx Dinosaur Boat Escape in 2021 for set number 76942. This original one, in the darker gray color, retails for around $20 to $25, whereas the dark green one goes for a little bit more at around $25 to $35 US. Now, this is reusing a lot of the molds introduced for the Indoraptor, and thankfully they were able to get a lot more usages out of them, but the really interesting thing is that they did decide to change the way that the hands were done between the 2 different iterations. The initial one, which you can see right here, you can have the rotatable hands, which you can see like so, and you can have the feet move back and forth, and they've actually colored the claws black, which is quite nice. Of course, it does have a brand new head as well, which they introduced for this dinosaur that snaps open and shut in a very satisfying fashion, like so. And then the newer one actually chose not to use the Indominus Rex hands, and instead just has fixed hands, which you can see right here. Honestly, I kind of liked the old ones better, because I really did like the ability to also rotate the hands. I felt like that added a lot more character to the dinosaur itself. And for the newer one, I guess it's because they decided to discontinue the molds, but they did have to introduce a brand new set of molds for this. I guess the one benefit is that there is a stud on the end, so you can actually more accurately grip minifigures, but you do lose the articulation that was really fun to have in the hands, to actually have the hands be rotatable, so I do feel like it is a bit of a step down from the older version. But otherwise, everything else is pretty much identical. It's just a difference in the colors. Moving onwards from that, we have one of my personal favorite dinosaurs. We've only ever gotten one, but that's the Ankylosaurus here, which came in set number 75941, Indominus Rex versus Ankylosaurus in 2020. Now, since this only came out once, the price is around 55 to 60 US dollars, and I love this one because it introduced so many different and interesting molds. You've got the tail that can wag back and forth that is fully rubberized. You have this entire larger upper body element, and what's really interesting is that if you look at the way that this is constructed, the entire thing is built around kind of a base dinosaur frame, where instead of having the actual molds be independent pieces, you just have one large mold for the top Ankylosaurus body part, and then you basically just have this generic dinosaur body mold, which you can use to build your own with ratchet joints included in the inside. Surprisingly enough, this is the only dinosaur that ever used this mold. I'm honestly really surprised they decided not to use it for any more creatures. We do know that following 2020, some other themes devoured the parts budget from Jurassic World, and the team was forced to surrender some of the budget that they had for new dinosaurs, so maybe they were actually planning on making new dinosaurs with it, but the budget was just allocated to different themes. But it is really interesting to see how LEGO was trying to introduce a brand new dinosaur building system. I'm sure that in the future, depending on what types of dinosaur they want to create, they could get a lot of use out of the bottom mold to create dinosaurs of the size, but as of right now, this is the only time it's ever been used, and very interestingly, the part did appear for quite a while on Pick-a-Brick as a non-licensed part, which means that maybe LEGO was considering using it for other themes as well and other creatures. It just never really came to be, so it is just an interesting oddity. Of course, this video is being recorded in April of 2024, so who knows, maybe even later this year we'll get a dinosaur that uses that part, but as of right now, it is exclusive to the Ankylosaurus. And moving on from that, we just have one more dinosaur that is around the same mid-size here, and that is the Therizinosaurus. It comes in set number 76949, Giganotosaurus and Therizinosaurus Attack, say that 10 times fast, in 2022 for the Jurassic World third movie. And this is an interesting one because obviously this isn't herbivore, but they actually had it in some battle scenes in the movie, which I thought was funny because it's kind of like the Wolverine dinosaur with the 3 claws here. Of course, they do introduce a brand new arm piece to allow you to articulate each of the claws, which I think kind of works. It would have been cool to actually be able to rotate these in my opinion, but I think it works for what it is trying to get across. The headpiece is brand new, and I really do like how it almost feels bird-like in the way the mold is done, where you can see it actually has a beak on the end of the dinosaur, making it just a little bit more scientifically accurate. Otherwise, the rest of the parts are basically just the exact same as the other dinosaurs that we've gotten of this style. But with that, I think it's time we now move on to the largest dinosaurs, the T-Rexes. In 2024, we got the return of the LEGO Stegosaurus, something we again hadn't seen since, well, the beginning of this video in the year 2000 for LEGO Adventurers. This is officially Dinosaur Stegosaurus with tan plates and thagomizer, and a thagomizer is a distinctive arrangement of 4 spikes on the tail of some Stegosaurian dinosaurs. Here you can see a comparison between the old and the new, which really shows just how far LEGO has come in their design of creatures. The new Stegosaurus comes in only one set so far, 76965 Dinosaur Missions Stegosaurus Discovery, based off of the Chaos Theory TV show. And I really like it. The spikes are great, but I just wish there were maybe more stud connections other than just the ones on the bottom of the feet. I always like it when you can outfit these for your own customs, having just a few studs on the top, and while I understand that maybe studs on the top wouldn't have been that useful given that the top is surrounded by spikes, having just something else you can do with it, like swinging the tail, would have been really nice, but I still like that we finally have gotten a modern Stegosaurus, something a lot of people have been asking for. Here's a look at every single one of the newer style of LEGO T-Rex that first debuted in Dino 2012. Now, LEGO has basically used this exact body shape for not just the T-Rexes, but for a couple of other similarly sized dinosaurs, which we'll see in a little bit, and to date there have been 8 different variations of the T-Rex, plus one very special exclusive variant as well, which is kind of outside the norm of the regular dinosaurs, but is easily one of the rarest items in my collection. We're going to start off with the standard dinosaurs that we got all the way back in Dino 2012, which were these two right here. The first dinosaur, which is one of the most iconic ones when you think of the LEGO T-Rex, this is really the one that comes to mind because it basically was the first one we got in this style, was this version from the T-Rex Hunter set. Set number 5886 came out in 2012, and this is just the dark red and dark orange T-Rex, which retails currently for around $25 to $35 US. The T-Rexes are built with all of pretty much the same components: ratchet joints to mount the legs to the side of the body, you have a tail that twists back and forth, which is also mounted on a ratchet joint, as you can see right there, arms that are mounted on pins here, and then the mouth, which can snap open and close with two different points of fixed articulation here, although you can kind of get it in a halfway point if you really want to, that just opens and closes like so, with the head mounted on a ratchet joint, which you can see right there. This is pretty much the first version of the T-Rex that we got, and as you can see, the coloration and especially the graphic design for the eyes is a little bit different compared to the other T-Rexes that we have gotten since, especially for Jurassic World, which tried to make it feel a little bit more realistic. The next one also came from the 2012 Dino lineup, but this one is actually rarer than the first one because it only came in the largest set, 5887 Dino Defense Headquarters. This is the olive green and reddish brown T-Rex, which now retails for $35 to $40 US on Bricklink, and again, it's pretty much just the same exact style of printing. Even the stripes and graphic design for the eyes is identical to the other T-Rex. All that has been changed is the coloration of the upper and lower colors, but otherwise, the printing on both T-Rexes is pretty much identical, with the same stripe pattern being used across the entire thing. Moving on from that one, it wouldn't be until Jurassic World came out in 2015 that we would get our next version of the T-Rex, and this is one of the most common variations of the T-Rex that LEGO has ever done, because this actually did appear in two different sets. First off, in 2015, we got 75918, the T-Rex Tracker, and the other one was set number 10758, the T-Rex Breakout in 2018, which was a 4+ set. Because this has appeared in two sets, one in 2015 and one in 2018, the price of this one is only around $20, which is one of the most affordable T-Rexes that you can get on this list. This is a pretty standard one, standard coloration with dark tan and the dark orange or nougaty color type being used at the top here, and I think it is a fairly standard design for the T-Rex. It kind of just looks like your regular one in Jurassic World. However, there is an actual Jurassic World and Jurassic Park T-Rex, the quote-unquote main one from the movies, which we're getting to in a little bit. Moving onwards from that one, we got our next T-Rex in 2018 as well. It is the T-Rex with medium nougat back, and that is this one right here, which only came in one set, set number 75933, the T-Rex Transport in 2018. This one also retails for around $20 to $25 US because it's not one of the more exciting ones. It is a fairly standard version of the T-Rex, but I do like how they did make efforts to make it feel more realistic. You now have the introduction of some scales being used on the top of the head as well as on the sides. You've got scales going alongside the body, which just makes it feel a little bit more realistic in the way that it's colored. Obviously, it is very clearly just supposed to be a toy, but I do like the overall design and color scheme of this, and much like all the other T-Rexes, you can articulate the head back and forth, have it be roaring, snapping shut, and so on and so forth. Moving onwards from that, we take a look at what is probably the rarest and most special item on this list, and that is the exclusive T-Rex right here. This came in only one set, set number 4000031, and this is one of only 500 copies that exist in the world. So the story behind this is that basically for an exclusive promotional event all the way back in 2018 for the second Jurassic World movie, certain European toy chains could allow folks who purchased Jurassic World sets to be entered into a raffle to win the exclusive T-Rex for free. That was literally the only way that you could actually ever get this T-Rex. There was no other way to get it other than just by entering in that raffle in certain European toy stores. Now, I purchased this for not quite as much as it's going for nowadays, but still pretty high up there. It is still one of the most expensive items in my collection, and right now the cheapest one on Bricklink costs over $7,000 US, with the average sale price being between $8,000 to $10,000 US, making this the most expensive LEGO animal ever made, and just one of the rarest ones in general. It is Really interesting to see a T-Rex being made with the color scheme of the flame yellowish orange on the bottom, or the keyed orange, as well as this kind of nougaty color on the top here. I think it's a really interesting design, and it makes for a really nice display piece. It's very striking. It's almost like golden colored in the way that it's done, which obviously was meant to make it even more special compared to a lot of the other dinosaurs out there. And it even does come with a special stand as well, which is very nice to see. And here's the original packaging that it came in with the box. This is probably one of the only times that anybody has ever actually opened it up, but this one actually came from Russia, as you can see, so that is where I got my copy. It was in Russia as well as some European stores. And the instruction manual inside looks like this, in case you're curious what this actually comes with and looks like. Very interesting promotional item. LEGO has never done anything like it since, and I am very happy to have added this one to my collection because it easily is one of the rarest items that we actually have showcased in this entire video. Moving onwards from that, though, we can take a look at some of the other T-Rexes that they've released throughout the years. The next one coming up here is the T-Rex with dark bluish gray back and dark brown markings, and that is this one right here. This T-Rex came in 2019 in set number 7593 one of my personal Jurassic World sets, because that was the T-Rex versus Dino Mech battle. That's right, they released a Dino Mech for Jurassic World, which is absolutely insane. I love that LEGO was doing something more original and unique like that, and this one retails for around $25 to $40 US, depending on where you get it. And I actually do also like the color scheme of this one. The dark gray back is very distinctive compared to a lot of the other T-Rexes. There's nothing super special going on with the printing, and especially if you compare the printing with some of the other T-Rexes that we got, like this one right here, you may notice that the printing is literally identical, other than the difference in the coloration, and the dark brown stripes are still in the same color. So they basically were just using the same exact prints that they did for the other T-Rex here. But you know what? If it ain't broke, don't fix it, and this one was just another nice incremental one to get in 2019. Moving onwards from that, we have the next one here, which is probably one of the most unique T-Rexes that we got, and honestly, this is not one of the more sought after ones because it is in a really funky color. This came in set number 76944, a Juniors 4+ set, T-Rex Dinosaur Breakout in 2022, and this is one of the cheapest dinosaurs from $18 to $25. People like to call it the minty green T-Rex. It is in this spring yellowish green color, which is very odd, but obviously LEGO is willing to make dinosaurs in more funny and more colorful colors for 4+ sets, and this is another example of one that I'm sure kids really would gravitate towards, even compared to some of the more realistic ones. This is clearly one that is meant to be more for kids, and I do like how LEGO does give a little bit of variety in the types of dinosaurs that they do, depending on the age range they are targeted to. It's a fun one to add to the collection. It is certainly very unique, and I doubt we'll ever see it again, but I definitely feel like it is one of the more interesting variations of T-Rex that we're ever going to get. And moving onwards, we do have two different T-Rexes that are very similar. They basically have the same upper and lower coloration, and the only difference between these two is actually the printing on them, which is really interesting how LEGO actually did them as two different variations. The first one here came in 2022, set number 76948, T-Rex and a Triceratops Dinosaur Breakout. This one retails for around $20 to $25 US, but I'm sure that because this only came out recently, the prices will go up over time, and this is basically meant to represent the standard quote-unquote classic Jurassic Park style of T-Rex that we would see in the movies, which you can see right there. Honestly, it's not the most interesting color scheme to me. While it may be the most realistic, I don't know, I feel like there's something about the more wacky color variations that I really like, especially with the exclusive one, or even the dark gray and dark tan one appealed to me a little bit more, but this is definitely a really good realistic one to get, and it is nice to get a new style of printing on the T-Rexes. And then lastly, the latest T-Rex that we've gotten so far, although again this video is sure to be outdated very soon, is from set number 76961, Visitor Center T-Rex and Raptor Attack in 2023 is when we got it, and this is supposed to be the OG T-Rex itself from the original Jurassic Park movie, and as you can see, they've actually printed the scratches on the T-Rex to add some character to this creature. It is really cool how they were able to actually make it basically one-to-one compared to what you saw in the original Jurassic Park movie, and this is, to date, meant to be the most accurate version of the T-Rex that we've gotten to depict that exact creature from the Jurassic Park movies. It's really cool how we get this as an actual T-Rex, although again, not the most exciting color scheme to me. I feel like it is fairly basic and standard compared to what we've gotten in the past, but it is still a nice one to add to your collection, being the official representation of the Jurassic Park T-Rex. And that's all for the T-Rexes, but there are still a few more animals in this size category that we have to cover. While we're on the topic of T-Rexes, there's one last one I have to cover, and that is the buildable T-Rex skeleton from Jurassic World. Now again, I did say I wasn't going to cover fully brick-built dinosaurs, but this one actually counts because it is using a specialized molded piece for the head, which is the same head that they use for other T-Rexes. This is set 76940, T-Rex Dinosaur Fossil Exhibition, which released in 2021, and I love this set. Mostly because it literally is supposed to be the exact same scale as the other Jurassic World T-Rexes, except this one is actually fully brick-built. If you want to get the set, it's around $30 on Bricklink right now because it's pretty recent all things considered, which I think is a pretty good price for something as cool as this. You have the head, which is specially printed, just a recolor of the existing T-Rex head sculpt, but you also have all of this detail for the brick-built body. You can bend the legs, bend the feet, move the arms, you even have the posable rib cage, and it's really cool how they made a skeleton version of this. But moving on from that, we now can take a look at some T-Rex-sized animals that aren't T-Rexes, starting off with the most recent one, the Allosaurus, which came out just this year in 2024 in 76966 Dinosaur Missions Allosaurus Transport Truck. This is utilizing a lot of these same elements that we saw in existing LEGO Jurassic World dinosaurs. You have the same body, the same legs, the same arms as other creatures, but the head is all new. I gotta say, it does look a little goofy when the mouth is closed, almost like it has a hilarious overbite, like he's kind of sheepish or he doesn't even have a jaw, but when the bottom jaw is opened, I think it works out really well, and well, let's move on to the rest of the kin of his size. So here's the other collection of T-Rex sized animals that aren't quite T-Rexes but pretty much use these same mold sets, especially when it comes to the legs, very similar molds when it comes to the body and the tails, and pretty much just sporting different heads. We're going to start off with the Indominus Rex here, which was the very first hybrid style of dinosaur created for the first Jurassic World movie. This is pretty much taking the standard T-Rex frame, but they've added spikes to the top of the back, spikes to the tail. The head is all new and unique, which actually allows for 3 different ratchet points of articulation, so you can really get that minifigure swallowing action, and the hands are the ones that we saw earlier in the video on the Indoraptor, which actually allow you to twist the hands around and graft a minifigure, which is really, really cool. I like how they're mounted on Technic pins, so you can really grasp every single aspect of the figures, whether it's the torso, or the hands, or the legs, and actually have them dangle from the hands of the Indominus Rex. And this one came in set number 75919, Indominus Rex Breakout in 2015, and because of that, it retails for around $40 to $50 US, given that it was a very iconic part of the first Jurassic World film, and this is only one of 2 variations we've gotten, and the only white version. However, we did get another version of the Indominus Rex in a throwback set based on some of the Jurassic World animations much later on. This one came in set number 75941, Indominus Rex vs. Ankylosaurus in 2020, and this is a light gray and silver version of the creature, which I guess is technically a little bit more screen accurate, although I definitely will always associate the creature with the white version in 2015. Unfortunately, for the newer version, they did change the hands, much like they did for some of the other creatures we saw earlier on the list, like the Baryonyx. They changed the hands so you can no longer rotate them, but they do have the addition of studs on the hands themselves to make it easier to grasp minifigures. However, again, I kind of do miss the older hands because you could actually rotate them around, which again I feel added a lot more character to the way the dinosaurs were set up. Otherwise, this is pretty much the exact same mold sets. The really special thing here, though, is that they have used metallic drum lacquered silver printing, so it actually has a very shiny and reflective surface to it. It's really one of the only times they've done that for a dinosaur, which makes this one feel extra special, especially in the way that it's printed with the very reflective color scheme. Moving onwards from that, we can take a look at some of the other dinosaurs around this scale, and we'll start off with the Carnotaurus. Now, technically, the Carnotaurus is supposed to be a little bit smaller than the T-Rex. It's not quite as large, but obviously they were just using the molds they had, so this is probably one of the least accurate ones. It's almost a similar issue of the initial Dilophosaurus, which was a lot larger than it should have been, but maybe in the future LEGO will make a separate mold for it, but honestly, for its purposes, I think it's fine. It's not a huge deal that it's a little bit bigger than it should be compared to the already wacky scaling of all the other dinosaurs. Now, what they've done here is that they've taken the Indominus Rex back and tail, but they instead have created the new hands, which we've seen on some of the other creatures as well, to make it feel just a little bit less threatening than compared to some of the massive claws of the other dinosaurs, and I really do like how that really radically changes the look and feel of the dinosaur. The mouth and headpiece combination is brand new for the dinosaur itself. It can open and close, and I really do like the dual molded nature of the head. You've got the spikes on the top of the eyes, spikes on the top of the head as well, and it just feels very unique compared to some of the other dinosaurs that we've gotten. This version came in 75929 Carnotaurus Gyrosphere Escape in 2018 to coincide with the second Jurassic World movie, and this one retails for around $20 to $25 on Bricklink. The next copy was a version with stripes and a scar on the head, and this one is meant to represent one of the ones from the Netflix animated Jurassic World series, and this one is using the exact same mold sets except the head is in dark brown, and it actually has a scar on the head as well, which I think maybe sometimes reads as like debris or a tree branch. I guess if you look closely it does look like a scar, but I don't know, I'm a little bit mixed on the way that this one was done because I feel like they could have just done the graphic design a bit better for the scar. That being said, it is really interesting to see one as its own unique character, which is very, very cool. I believe this one is a female Carnotaurus as well, thanks to the way that they were able to print the eye. And this one came in set number 76941, Carnotaurus Dinosaur Chase, which came out in 2021 and also retails for around $20 to $25 US. Lastly, we got one final version of the similar scaled dinosaurs here with the Giganotosaurus, which is one of the coolest dinosaurs in my opinion. Came in 2022 in set number 76949, Giganotosaurus and Therizinosaurus Attack, which was for the third Jurassic World movie. They introduced only one new mold for this dinosaur, which was the gigantic spine for the body here, and they just reused the Indominus Rex style of head, which was, I think, a head that works totally okay for a dinosaur like this, but I do really love the way that the shaping is done. The scales looks really, really nice to me. I really do like how it looks head on, and the color scheme is solid as well. The black and olive green looks really good. I like that you can see the scars on the side of it, and of course that big fin is really nice and makes me hope that one day they're going to do a Spinosaurus in this style as well. Since this came in the largest Jurassic World set, it currently retails for anywhere between $35 to $40 US, and given that the set is only just been discontinued, I imagine that the price is going to shoot way up because I don't know when the next time we're going to get this dinosaur will be. It's a really cool one and a pretty fitting one to end this segment on the T-Rexes and the T-Rex sized dinosaurs. And lastly, there is only one final dinosaur that we have to cover, and that one is kind of in its own scale, because, of course, I am referring to the Brachiosaurus. Now, the Brachiosaurus, obviously its head can barely even fit on camera here, is a dinosaur that I never thought we would ever be getting for the Jurassic World franchise. They're just simply too big, but they've scaled it down a little bit to make sense within this world, which I think is pretty cool. This came in a set in 2023, set number 76960, Brachiosaurus Discovery, and the way it works is that you can move the head all the way up and down, get a lot of articulation out of the head, which is really, really nice just how much you can do with it. The mouth can open and close as well, so you can kind of have it be chewing some plants, and I really, really like just how they were able to pull this off. every single aspect of it, pretty much, other than the tail, which is just the regular T-Rex tail, is brand new. The only complaint that I do have is that I really do wish it was possible to move the legs. I really feel like it is a missed opportunity not having the legs mounted on ratchet joints, and that was a benefit of the older style of Brachiosaurus that we saw earlier on in this video, because I was using some standardized pieces from the LEGO Dinosaur lineup. You could actually get articulation in the legs for the original version. Obviously, there are a lot of pros and cons to the way these are done, and I definitely feel like the newer version fits a lot better with the LEGO system, but I do miss the amount of articulation that we got, especially you could move the head back and forth, move the legs on the old one, adjust the way the tail was mounted up and down and side to side. That is just something that is missing from the newer version, which is more like a statue, but it's definitely still very, very cool. One of the nicest dinosaur molds that we've gotten, and it's really cool just how much effort they put into making this dinosaur an actual large-scale buildable figure, and I'm really curious to see what LEGO does in the future. I feel like it's only a matter of time before we get something like a new Mosasaurus in the style, and come on, they gotta give us that Spinosaurus, so we'll see. I feel like the future of LEGO dinosaurs is bright, especially given that they're really going outside of the box and doing more unique stuff like this. Okay, so that was every single LEGO dinosaur and prehistoric animal mold they have ever made. It is a really fun variety of different creatures, and you gotta let me know down in the comments, which one of these creatures do you own? Are you really on the hunt for one in particular? And what is your favorite LEGO prehistoric animal that they've ever made? For me personally, I am very partial to the baby Triceratops. I feel like they're one of the cutest LEGO animals that they've ever done. And of course, you gotta have a lot of love for the original LEGO T-Rex, which is a very iconic in its own right. That's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed our look at every single one of the LEGO dinosaurs that they've ever produced. This has been a pretty crazy collection, and it's taken a while to gather these, and I'm sure this video is going to become outdated in just a few months when we get more Jurassic World sets. But as of right now, here's every LEGO dinosaur, and thank you so much for watching.